Intentional. Thank you, Mr. Chair. General Holder, thank you for joining us here today. As we're all aware, General Holder, a statewide purge of suspected ineligible voters is underway in Florida. Now, all voters benefit from voter roll maintenance efforts conducted with oversight, with accuracy, and with enough time to rectify mistakes. Unfortunately, the purge underway in Florida is nothing of the sort. A list of 182,000 suspected non-citizens has been compiled by Governor Scott's administration. This list is so riddled with mistakes that Governor Scott's own Secretary of State, Kurt Browning, objected to the list. Yet the risk was not reason enough for Governor Scott to stop. Cross-checking driver's license data with state voter files was guaranteed to result in mistakes. Guaranteed. Many legal immigrants who have become citizens are still classified as non-citizens in the motor vehicle records. But it doesn't explain how a World War II veteran and Bronze Star winner from Davie, Florida was listed. And it doesn't explain how a Fort Lauderdale small business owner was listed. It doesn't explain the staggering rate of inaccuracy in just the initial stage of the purge. If the rate of inaccuracy in the initial 2,600 holds up for the remaining 180,000, then nearly 40,000 American citizens' voting rights are at risk. And let me be clear about one issue. Everyone here agrees we don't want non-citizens on the roll. I don't, General Holder, you don't. The issue is that this purge will remove thousands of legitimate voters. Why is there zero concern for these voters? Mr. Sensenbrenner earlier called this a model of due process. In fact, the letters going to voters say that they will be removed if they fail to respond within 30 days. The governor believes that a failure to respond to a letter within 30 days is reason enough to lose your right to vote, even if you're a U.S. citizen. Maybe you moved, maybe you don't read your mail, maybe you got lost, or maybe, General Holder, you're a different elderly veteran of World War II who received the letter the week that his wife died and threw it out because he didn't have time to deal with the preposterous assertion that he is not a United States citizen. That happened, Mr. Attorney General. Now, General Holder, I applauded you last Friday for requesting that Florida suspend this error-ridden, unaccountable, and illegal voter purge. The DOJ rightly pointed out that federal voter laws prohibit voter purges within 90 days of an election, thanks to a law passed 2 decades ago. Because the closer you get to an election, the less time you have to correct mistakes. Mistakes like disenfranchising voters. Now, I'm aware the governor responded to you late last night in a letter that showcases his administration's willingness to make up the law as they go along. And I know, Mr. Attorney General, your department will respond in detail in the coming days and will do everything necessary to compel Florida to comply with the law to prevent thousands of Floridians from being disenfranchised. But finally, I want to give you a chance to respond to a letter sent to you yesterday by a colleague of mine. The letter reads that your department's interference in this purge proves that you are, quote, more concerned with protecting the re-election prospects of the president than with upholding justice and enforcing the rule of law, that you are actively working to keep non-citizens who have committed a felony on our state's voter rolls. General Holder, with 16 cases of voter fraud found in Florida, of over 8 million votes cast in 2008, the assertion that voter fraud is an actual electoral strategy is preposterous and offensive, and it's condescending, because voter fraud would be a totally ineffective way to rig an election. It's rare because it's a felony that risks prison time and huge fines, and it's totally illogical way to try to sway an election. You know, it is an effective way to sway elections: scrubbing thousands of legitimate voters off the rolls, eradicating voter registration drives, reducing early voting, and disenfranchising millions of seniors and impoverished Americans who lack government IDs. That's the tactic that Governor Scott and his ilk are using, not just in Florida, but around the country. But maybe I'm wrong, General Holder. Can you just answer quickly, is my Republican colleague right, Mr. Attorney General? Have I missed some grand conspiracy here?
I haven't seen the letter, but that is not what motivated our action or will continue to motivate the actions that we may have to take. I've not seen the response from the governor or the Secretary of State in Florida, but I will assure you that we will make sure that the federal law is enforced and that voter purges happen in a way that is consistent with the law. I share your view that we do not want to have people inappropriately voting, that we don't want to have voter rolls that contain people who should not have the right to vote. At the same time, we should engage in a process that does not put off the rolls people who have served their country as veterans, people who want to exercise that most fundamental of American rights. And so the notion that this is somehow a political ploy is inconsistent. One only has to look at the law, which is clear, 90 days. It is very, very clear, 90 days.
And in fact, General Holder, then, it is possible that as the highest law enforcement officer of the land, that you actually have real concerns about American citizens being disenfranchised, and that the United States Department of Justice, the U.S. Department of Justice, actually cares about protecting the constitutional rights of American citizens that are now being threatened by this illegal voter purge in Florida. Isn't that correct?
That's correct. At base, we have to enforce the law, a law that was designed by this Congress or its predecessor to protect the rights of American citizens. That's what our action is all about, to protect the rights of American citizens.
Thank you. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back his time. The gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Quayle, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for